Hey there guys, this is City and Chill. Got another video for you today. And we actually had a little bit of surprise on the test server last night. We had 3 new artifacts released that are part of the new DLC Wonderverse that'll release sometime in August. So we have a new tank artifact, new healing artifact, and a new DPS artifact. So let's dive in and take a look and give you my first impressions. Okay, so taking a look at the first artifact, the Lasso of Truth, which we have up here on the right hand side. So the main point of this artifact is that it changes the mesmerizing lasso iconic ability. So the iconic ability no longer pulls the target towards you, instead tethers and hard taunts. So basically like your hard taunt in your actual tree, so like Frost Snipe, like Rage Blast, Fireball, like those ones, the hard taunts. To your target, and basically at rank 80, so tethered non-boss NPCs will be stunned and dragged towards you for 5 seconds, and will seek out 2 additional non-boss targets and drag them towards the tethered one. And then at rank 120, 0.5% of the damage the tethered enemy receives is healed back to you. 160, Lasso of Truth will seek out 7 additional non-boss targets and drag them to the tethered. And then at max rank at 200, the only difference is that while tethered to an enemy, heal for 1% of all damage it receives. And we're looking at 7650 health, 382 restoration, 637 dom, with a 5% dom, 4% health, 3% resto. If you're curious, those are the exact same stats as the manacles at rank 200 as well. So it is a heavy stat artifact. Now, in terms of what this looks like, let's jump in the game and show you, because I know it may sound a bit confusing and you're wondering what actually that means. So let me show you here, show you a few examples. Okay, so taking a look at the Lasso of Truth. So the main point is changing iconic lasso ability. The lasso is no longer going to pull, so that's another very important feature to see. So say, for example, in the sparring targets, the one I'm hard locked on, this one is going to be what everything is tethered to. So I'm going to hit this and then kind of walk away, and you'll see that I can drag the target for about 5 seconds, and then it's going to run back. And then if I say if it's like the center one, it's probably stuck or grounded, but you can see they're all tethered together. It doesn't stun the ones that it tethers. So that's another main point here, which I'll see more in like the open world example here that I show you. So you can kind of stun and drag. This won't work on bosses. That's the other point there. Non-boss targets. Yeah, so you didn't drag that one. I think it's the grounding effect from Lasso, I think, that's interfering with the dragging sometimes. Because that should be dragged. It also could be that this target is, like, the sparring targets have 0 willpower. There we go. You can drag it there. Okay, so let's kind of jump to a more realistic example in open world and kind of show you how this works out. Okay, so we'll take a look at the range of it here. See if I can pull that drift soldier on the far left there to the one in the center. Nope. See how close that should be here. So we'll change it to this tether. That one got dragged in. That one got dragged in too. I go by myself. So let's tether on here. Yep, that one got pulled in. So that's mid-range. So as you can see here, the other issue is that, say I pull it in, it only grounds 1. So I'm still getting attacked by like 7 different ones. So it has no CC setback. So if I'd still have to, I didn't want to do that. So I'd still have to like stun them. So just stunning 1 ad out of like the 10 in the hallway isn't going to do me any good. And you can kind of see the healing effect there as well. Obviously, I'm not going to get 1% worth out of anything. It'll be like 27 ticks like that. So that's the one drawback to it. It has no CC effect on the actual tether. So you're still going to get, just slammed by ads. So you're still taking like another power like Epicenter. You still have to rely on Chromac emitters because you can't, like the whole point of having everything towards you in a hallway, have group things gather, is that you can start to juggle them. So, I mean, it does the exact same thing as what like a pull would do. Like if I'm in a hallway, I'm just going to use Epicenter and then a Chrono. Instead of having to like position myself that like everything will get pulled, then use Lasso and then the Chrono there. Because this Lasso is not going to pull. I'd have to like pull and then like drag my target down the hallway. So let's jump to another example here. Okay, so taking a look at more of a practical, real-world approach to this artifact. Now, for example, there's a big group of ads. I want to pull them, or at least if I'm a tank, I don't want to fight them in an awkward area like this. I want to kind of pull them more in the open. Normally I'd drag them this way, but since Lasso doesn't pull now, I'm going to have to target one and then kind of like drag it. So drag it this way. Now more if it's in the open area, but now after that was gone, you just saw them all run back. So I still have aggro because I'm still getting attacked, but then they ran all the way back. Now they're running back here. So if I want to tether them again, groups them all up. Now I have to hit something like Epicenter. Now I have to use like a Chrono. Like Lasso doesn't stun them. I'm still getting attacked. Like I'm still getting railed on by all these NPCs. So what's the point of having something that's not going to stun everything? So say, why would I waste a power like that where I've got like, Ice's Resonating Gale where they're all going to be permanently stunned and knocked down pretty much. I can just consistently juggle them. So yeah, you can have Lasso, but you still need to take another CC power because there's actually no CC effect to Lasso. So you're still going to have to worry about hitting Chronos. You're still going to have to worry about a juggle move like Epicenter or pulling them in and then use juggling between Jackhammer. So it's one of those powers where it can work out. Like I kind of compare this to like the Gem of Horus, where like the Gem of Horus, yeah, you can find a lot of like unique situations where Gem of Horus will actually do really well, but I mean at the same point it's like, why am I like leveling this artifact, or why am I using it? Well, there's other stuff that can be better. So the way I approach tank artifacts in general is they're kind of separated into two categories. Like one is the category that's going to help you survive, and the other category is ones that kind of make your jobs a little bit easier. So like Mystic helps you survive, Manacles helps you survive. Manacles helps you survive. Say kind of I'm trying to remember the other artifacts. Like Refractors can help you survive. It gives you the health buff. I'm drawing a blank on other tank artifacts now. There's one the Lazarus Pit, sorry. Lazarus Pit water. Couldn't think of that. Lazarus Pit, another water. It kind of helps you survive and kind of helps you make your job easier because you can revive yourself, but it's like, why would no one's going to spend $200, $300 to rank that up to 200? So I don't know. It's one of those things where my opinion so far is that it's an interesting artifact. I'm sure there's some situations where this could be interesting, but I mean, at the same time, when you're thinking, oh, that tethered enemy heal for 1% of all the damage it receives, I'm not sure if you guys saw that in the combo log, but I mean, yeah, this isn't like a perfect example because this is just me as a tank, but when you think of it, if I tether a boss with this, like, yeah, if I tether bosses, it's not going to drag in other targets, but I still get the 1%. So if a boss has 10 million damage, like 10 million health, I'm only getting 100,000 heal. And 100,000 heal is like a soda. So when you think of it like that, like I don't know what bosses have 10 million health. That might be pretty much realistic. Might be a bit more. I'm trying to think of fights where most people have like 6 or 7 mil each single target damage. So yeah, it's probably a lot more than 10 million, maybe like 100 million. But it's the same thing. It's if you over the entire course of a fight, you're going to get more healing from like the Mystic or more healing from like your soda usage. Like it's not that 1% is going to like drastically increase your survivability. I mean, the stats on it are nice, but right now it's just it's definitely an interesting artifact, and yeah, you can play around with it. But I mean, at this point, it doesn't do anything that like your powers that you're already running don't do. So like say go back to like Crown of Thorns with all those ads. Like, I'm not going to use this lasso to tether all the ads, like all those tons of ads in the final boss of Crown of Thorns Elite, because I'm still going to be getting ganked by like 20 ads attacking me because there's no CC effect. All I'm going to do is simply hit like Resonating Gale or jump in and like use Epicenter to knock them down, or Without Mercy to knock them down, and then hit a Chrono. Like, it's just that Lasso doesn't really do anything for me in that case. So it's certainly an interesting artifact. I just don't see it with a lot of playability. It certainly doesn't need to be 200, because the only difference with 200 is you get from 0.5 to 1% of the damage. But I mean, like I said before, that's not going to make or break you as a tank. There's much more artifacts that increase your survivability. So you could keep this at 160 if you want to mess around with it. But I mean, right now, I feel like it's not strong enough to break. I mean, it's definitely not better than Manacles. In an ad situation where you'd actually want to have tethered, like multiple ads tethered, it's not better than Mystic. Because if you're in a big hallway that you're going to be tethering tons of ads, like up to 7 ads, you want Mystic for all that healing and that extra defense. So it's not better than that. If you're running a supercharge, it's not going to be better than Gemini. I mean, it depends on your power set, but I mean, if you're like Rage or Earth or Fire, even Atomic, where your health dips a lot, I mean, it's not going to be better than even the new Everyman prototype. So it's just right now I kind of find it hard place putting it in the rotation. It's one of those artifacts where it'd be nice if artifacts didn't cost hundreds of dollars to level them up, because you can kind of have fun and play around with it, just like the Dead King Scepter and like Philosopher's Stone. I would love to have this as a DPS, but I'm not going to spend $300 to $400 leveling this up. It's one of those like fun artifacts where you just kind of artifact switch in. Like, I'm not going to use this primarily on my loadout, but I mean, it'd be fun to have, but not for $400. Same thing with the Source Shard. It'd be fun to mess around with the Source Shard in some builds, but I'm not spending $400 to do that. So Lasso kind of falls in that same category, where if I already have Manacles, Mystic, and Everyman or Gemini leveled, I mean, there's no point for this artifact. So that's my early opinion with this one here. Okay, so taking a look at our next new artifact, the Purple Healing Ray. We've got this one here. So same thing, obviously the same XP tiers. So the main thing here is that healing charges your Purple Healing Ray up to 5 times your total restoration, or Purple Healing Light. Once charged, your next priority heal or group heal gain new benefits. So once you charge it up and get it to proc, your next priority heal will give you and your heal target gain a shield equal to 2 times your restoration, which absorbs, at least at rank 80, 10%. And then at rank 120 it turns to 20, and that's basically mitigates that for 8 seconds. And then it would change your group heal. It places a heal over time on all your allies, so that's 8 people, like the entire raid group, for 8 seconds. And then at 120, at rank 80, it's a 0% increase. 120, also resets the cooldown of your priority and group heal and restores 20% power. And then the priority heal shields absorb 20% group heal. That's changed to 25% increase. And then the only difference at rank 4 is that it's now healing 4 times up to your restoration. And then the base stats, 5100 health, 4781 power, 892 restoration. For my testing, the Purple Light, once you get it to proc, which obviously you'll see in my example, it expires after 30 seconds. So not like you'd be sitting around not doing a heal for 30 seconds, so it's not going to really matter. And then the way it says by healing charging is by doing heal. So the more time you're hitting a priority, more times you're hitting a heal, will have a chance to basically get a stack and then have a chance for that to proc. And then basically you as a healer would have to decide which one, because you don't get both. You get one either. So after once one of the proc, either you get Epion's Grace or Carissa's Revitalization. You have to choose one. After that, it resets everything back to 0, and then you're building up your Purple Healing Ray again, or your Purple Light. So you have to choose between, do you want a priority heal that will put a shield on your, is it you? Yeah, so you want a shield for yourself and most likely the tank that absorbs 20% of incoming damage for 8 seconds. That's equal to 2 times your restoration. So I think the restoration I tested was like 37k, which is obviously super low because it's test server. I don't have proper augments or generator mods, so you can get some much higher restoration than that in game. So it's double that. So it's not too bad of a shield, but it's only 20% mitigation, so it's not like it's going to save the tank or anything like that. It's just going to help them. But I mean, at the same time, if it's the group heal, it's an 8. You get another 8-person heal that's free basically. And same thing if you're doing that. Then if you ran like transformation and strategist, then it could crit on that, and then you proc the strategist heals on that, so you get even more heals. So it's the group heal, at least to me, seems to be the much more beneficial of the two. But I mean, sure, there's going to be situations where the priority heal comes in handy. Also, say you have the orb, the priority heal would be, you'd have all the orb benefits as well. Since it resets, it restores 20% power and resets the cooldown of priority heal. So orb, that's going to be handy because at least you can have a little more power to use it. But not that you really want to be spamming orb back to back. But there's going to be situations where if you're running orb, that'll be quite handy. So we'll jump into the game and kind of show you a bit more practical example here. Okay, so before I jump into an actual alert scenario where I'm actually in fighting, I thought I'd kind of give like a brief cooldown or a brief rundown on actually what this means. So basically, I'm in the Spore Cloud. As I take damage, I'm going to pop my priority. And as you can see, eventually I'm going to get this purple ring at the bottom of my feet. See right now? So right now, I have purple light. So right now, with this animation, if I hit my priority heal, I'm going to grab a shield. So right there, that's my shield, plus it would go on another target, plus I had my cooldown reset, and I had the 20% power restoration, because I'm sitting in it at 200. So it's kind of, I'll leave it off there. So let's take some more damage. We'll proc the group heal one so you can see. Okay. So now it's procced again. Now I've hit my group heal. There you go. So now I have a heal over time. Obviously that's going to be based on my restoration, which is super low because I'm trying to take extra damage in the alerts in the solo you're about to see. So that's why obviously the restoration is low, but that's 8-man proc there. Reset the cooldown of my group heal, which also will play into the Page of Destiny. So if you get to use your group heal more often to get your Page of Destiny stacks, you get an 8 heal over time. If you're running like Transformation and Strategist, then that could come in handy there together. So let's jump into an actual solo and show you how often these proc and how long it takes to gather and the difference between 160 and 200. Okay, so looking at more of a practical example, I've got the purple healing ray. This is a 200. So the only difference is, like I said before, is the charging up to 4 times instead of 5 times with 160. It's the only difference. I had to take off a bunch of gear so that the Hive Master will actually freaking damage me. As you can tell by the annoyance in my voice, this is not the first time I've tried this. Okay. Let's get down. So we got 1. We got 2, 3, 4. Or was it like damage based? Okay, so now we kind of pick up the practical example. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so now we just got it. So now I've got the choice between the priority heal, which will give me the shield, or the group heal and restoring power. So we'll just hit the group heal. So it resets. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Took him longer that time. So 10, same thing. So now I'll do the priority heal. Should give me the shield. A little bit damage absorption because my restoration is low because I'm missing so much gear. So we'll kind of let that expire. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so that took 9 times to get it. Same thing, now we're going to hit the group heal. So it seems like a bit inconsistent. Let's kind of quickly swap in the 160 before I die here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it took me 10 times with the 160. It took me 9 times the 200. So it seems how fast you charge is really inconsistent unless I'm missing something. So we'll pop the shield again. We'll let this get down and reset. Okay, so it's expired. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That took 12 times that time. So it seems still pretty inconsistent when you get it. We'll try a third time here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that took 10 times. So whatever, we'll just pop the shield. Now let's go back to the 200. This is reset. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. I mean, it's 9 to 12 in that range to see between the 160 and 200 to get it to proc. I mean, I'm not like straight spamming them. I guess I could do, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, same thing, took 9 times. Let's go back to the 160. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 12. So one more time. Just need about a 9 average with the 200, and let's see if I can get to 9 again. That was what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 12. Yep. So at least the average I'm seeing is 12 heals to get to proc at 160 and 9 heals to get to proc at 200. So at least that's what you can kind of see through this test here. It might differ in a raid just with how quickly you'd be doing heals, but I'm still doing pretty consistent heals here in this example. Okay, so this brings us to the last artifact, Lernaea's Amulet. Probably pronouncing that wrong, but this is the DPS one. So when you use the superpower, take its power cost and damage and gain a stack of offering, increasing your might by 2% per stack, up to 5 stacks for 6 seconds. This is at rank 80. Each additional stack increases the damage you take per cast and refreshes the duration of stacks. Casting a finisher resets your offering stacks and heals you for 50% of the damage it deals. And then at 120, it gets to 100% damage. At 160, the stacks go from 5 to 10. And then at rank 200, it's a stack of 3% might instead of 2%. Stats-wise, 7650 health, 4781 power, 765 might. That's almost the same as the Scrap the Soul Cloak. It's also a 3% might artifact, so you do lose some stats. That's like the same base stats as like the Transformation Scrap the Soul Cloak, so it's not, even though it's a DPS might artifact, it's really low on the might base. It's best explained in game, because this is a really confusing artifact, because the way that this artifact is set up currently and how it displays in the combat log and damage summary, it's absolutely brutal. It's just as bad as how Watuba coded the strategist card proc on might DPS, so it doesn't show up in the combat logs. There's no way for us to even tell and trace on track how much damage it does, which is frustrating. This is even worse in terms of how it's going to play out. So let's jump in the game. I'll try to explain it because I'm sure this is going to be really confusing. So let's see how it plays out. Okay, so we're on a sparring target. I'm about 60k might. I'm running Solar, the new artifact at 200, and Transformation. I'm Fire because it's just easier working Fire's finisher into a rotation to kind of show you what that means. So, for example, if I summon a superpower, which is like Robot Psychic, so I just took the damage of Robot Psychic summoning it. So if we go to like the power cost is 300. So I'm basically taking that power cost as damage. And then the other thing that you just saw, so for example, if I go to here, 1170, 1160, or 1159, whatever, the damage summary just popped up and I'm doing that damage, but I'm not. Do you get it? So I just used a power. I summoned Robot Psychic, and my damage summary procced because I did damage to myself as a target, which is counting as my damage summary. So, for example, see how it says one target. Now I'm going to do a simple rotation here. So we'll kind of show you what happens if I don't use a finisher. So we'll do this. You'll see here starting to proc on the bottom of my feet. I'm taking damage. So as the stacks increase, my damage is going to go up, but also the damage I take. So I'm taking huge chunks. There we go, 30k, and I'm dead. So I basically got off like 1.5 parses before I killed myself from the damage. Because I'm not using a finisher to reset it. So if we go back into the artifact, casting a finisher resets your offering stacks and heals you for 100% of the damage it deals at rank 116, 200. So that's essentially what you have to do if you're going to use this artifact, is that you don't have a choice. You're going to have to work in a finisher into the rotation, which can be a little bit awkward in some power sets. So now we're back here. Let me just take this to get back to the same might that we were at. So now what the rotation looks like working a finisher into it. We'll summon Robot Sidekick again. So now I'm going to use a finisher every other rotation, because I don't need to use it every single rotation. Because I do want to get a chance to proc my might higher. So I almost died there. And now I'm going to use the finisher to reset it. And I'm carrying on. Now I need to reset. So pay attention what you're seeing as well. And the combat log is, it's always 2 targets. No matter what happens, I'm always dealing 2 targets worth of damage. Why is that? Because I am a target. I am doing damage to myself intentionally by using my own powers, and that is showing up in the damage summary as damage being dealt. But I'm not dealing that damage to the sparring target. I am dealing it. Am I gonna die? Did I hit the finisher? That was close. But as you can see there, so let me just back up this. Let's just stop this here. So take a look at that parse, 61k. Oh my god, I'm a god fire DPS. I did 60k damage. I did 60k single target parse with only 60k might. I can get 100k might in game. So that means I'm be parsing like 80k as fire. I must be the best fire DPS in the entire game. No, that's not the case, because I'm hitting 2 targets. I am damaging myself and the sparring target, and that damage is being added together into the damage summary. So let me break this down a little bit easier and pull up the log analyzer. Okay, so this isn't the exact parsing that I just did. It was just the rotation before that. So basically if we go back to the parser summary, I did 8 parsers, but 80 seconds worth of damage. So looking at the combat log, this kind of explains a little bit better. In that 80 seconds worth of DPSing, Lernaea, just how it shows up in the combat log, I did 741,974 damage to myself. Like, that's how much damage I did to myself. So if I go to, let's do log. So now you can see the targets. So I'm hitting myself with this. So I'm not hitting the sparring target. That's what, if I'm typically parsing, or if you're parsing your combat in your league call right now, obviously all the targets are going to be the sparring target, because that's what you're hitting. But not with this artifact, I'm hitting myself. So I'm hitting myself with absorb heat. Oh, that was the heal, sorry. Let's do damage. Just so that doesn't show. So the amulet is hitting me for all this damage. 39k, 17k, 15k. All this damage that you're seeing here is being at 42k. All this damage that you're seeing here is being added to the combat log as my parser. So that 60k parse that you saw me get, or here it was 59k. So I'm not actually doing 59k damage, not even close to it. I'm doing like probably 39 or probably low 40s or something like that. But the problem is that all the other damage I'm doing to myself. So this artifact, the way it's set up now, is like it makes parsing useless. Like, why even parse? Like, how can you compare how good your rotation is versus others, like other rotations? Like, how can you get a sense of building upon your rotation when you're damaging yourself and that's showing up in the log? Like, what? Like, you might as well not even have the log up. As like a Gadget's Might DPS, you could probably parse like 100k single target. So like, OP, I'm the best Gadget's DPS ever. I parse 100k on single target. I'll kill prec. You're not, because you're that 100k damage. You're hitting yourself. You're not doing 100k. I'm not doing 60k damage to the sparring target. I'm not doing that to the boss. I'm doing like half to the boss, half to myself, and that's what's showing up. So I'm not doing any more damage. The only damage I'm slightly doing more is that the 30% might, the 3% might stacks. So if I had 10 stacks of 3%, I have 30% extra might. So that's the only damage increase that this artifact is providing right now, realistically, is just that increase in might. But the trade-offs from that is that parsing is now completely ruined. I mean, it's worthless. So kind of in summary here, the Purple Healing Ray, Lasso Truth, and Lernaea's artifact, or Lernaea's amulet, sorry. We've got 3 new artifacts. They'll be coming with Wonderverse DLC, which releases sometime in August. Purple Healing Ray, 100%. That's going to be a really great healing artifact. It's going to have a lot of synergy and interesting concept with it. Definitely 100% get this as if you're a healer. Lasso Truth, I would skip this one. I think this is one of those like niche artifacts that might be interesting, but I mean at the same time it's pointless to waste that much money on it, because it's not going to help you better than like Manacle's Mystic and like Gemini or Everyman. The DPS artifact, this is TBD. Honestly, the way it works right now and how it shows up in the damage summary can't work. That has to change. That is 100% pointless the way it is now. There's no idea to wait even to judge its damage. That's just something that should not have even like been released like that. It's almost as bad as, like I said, the strategist proc's not showing up for might DPSing in the combat log and only prec DPS. So this could be a good artifact. It certainly increases your damage per se, like you get the extra might. But that's the thing, you can't tell actually what damage you're doing from the increased might because you're hitting yourself. So I mean, that can't stay. So TBD. I'll release another video if any of these artifacts change. I'm hoping this changes, because right now you can't even properly test this artifact. It's just a waste of time to even try, because any damage you get that's going to be sensational is going to be because you're hitting yourself. It's not damage you're actually dealing to a boss, which is the whole point of having a single target rotation, is to actually be able to deal greater single target damage. But this isn't single target damage. This will be 2 targets, because you're hitting yourself and the boss. So we'll leave it for now. We'll see how it turns out. I'll keep you guys updated for sure.